Hey traders, it's John Fortune here with this week's weekly Forex forecast for the 21st of January to the 25th of January 2019. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index, and we're going to run through a number of markets, looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. And we're also going to be highlighting some of the targets that we're going to be looking for in the coming week and also for the weeks ahead. So let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index. Now we start this week above the key area of broken resistance, looking to turn support at 96.17. You can in fact see that this is a major support area of a previous range. Multiple times as we bounced through these levels here in the past, you can see we came down to 96.17, and we did break out last week to the downside, and we've ended up reversing back inside this entire range here. So very simply put, as we start the week above the bottom of the range, of this major range, and above the key area of broken resistance, looking to turn support at 96.17. If we can get a pullback, and if we can get a pullback and a retest of broken resistance turning support, this is going to be an area we can start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area resistance to the upside and target set at the 97.20. If we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up to the second key area resistance to the upside and target 2 at the 97.69. Now, although we go into next week looking for potential upside to the top of the range at 97.20, we have to look at the fact we are going back inside a major range. So the US dollar index is going into a ranging mode here. And we also, when we look at the other currency indices, because we look at the US dollar index here when we do the YouTube forecast, but for our members, we actually look at the index for all of the individual currencies. So we look at the Australian index, we look at the Canadian index, we look at the Euro index, etc. And when we look at all of the indices together, we see that the US dollar is not particularly strong going into next week. And as a result, we are going to go into next week with a neutral bias on the US dollar, a slightly bullish to neutral bias, but still overall a neutral bias on the dollar. And this means that we're going to be looking at trading the currency pairs that we're going to look at on their own merit without a strong bias in the dollar one way or the other. The next market we're going to look at is crude oil. Now we start the week above a key area of broken resistance from the past, looking to turn support at the 52.98. If we can get a pullback, and if we can get a pullback and a retest of broken resistance turning support at the 52.98, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set, the 54.75. And you can see that this is actually quite close to price now. So realistically, in order to get the next key area of resistance to the upside, we'll probably have to drop down onto a lower time frame like the 1 hours in order to trade this. But if we can get a break through the 54.75, this is when we'll start to look up to the next key area of resistance to the upside, which is quite a big space, as you can see, between the two resistance areas here. And this is at the 57.89. So the first pair we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now we start the week below a key area of broken support from the past, already turning resistance, looking to potentially turn resistance again at the 1.14002. If we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get another retest of broken support turning resistance, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and the target set, the 1.1309. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key of support to the downside and target 2 at the 1.1220. So next market we're going to look at is pound dollar. Now we start the week above a key area of broken resistance from the past, looking to turn support, came very, very close to it last week at the 1.28557. As we are structured to the upside in the pound dollar, what we'd like to see is if we can get a pullback and a retest of that broken resistance turning support at the 1.28557. This is going to be a great place we're going to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. We're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set at the 1.3123. So next pair we're going to look at is US dollar Japanese yen. Now we're still in this corrective mode in the US dollar Japanese yen after that flash crash to the downside, as we've discussed in previous videos. We are starting the week above a key area of broken resistance now from the past, looking to turn support at 109.022. We are quite close to the next target, so what I would like to see first in order to get this risk to reward is if we can get a pullback and if we can preferably get a retest of broken resistance turning support at the 109.022. This is going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance, the upside and the target set, with a 110.14, and if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance, the upside and target 2, at the 110.81. So next market we're going to look at is Aussie dollar. Now we start the week again above, similar to what we touched on in the video last week, above the key area of broken resistance, looking to potentially turn support at 0.71198. We basically, although we were looking for this pullback last week, we pretty much didn't do anything in the Aussie dollar. We kind of just moved sideways. So very simply put, if we can get that pullback and we can get a little bit more volatility into the markets this week as opposed to last week, which was on a number of markets was quite low volatility. If we can actually get this pullback now this week to the 0.71198, this is going to be the preferable place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance, the upside and the target set, the 0.7301, and if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards target 2 and the second key area of resistance, the upside, the 0.7347. The next pair we're going to look at is New Zealand dollar. Now, inversely to the Aussie dollar, we actually start the week down below a key area of broken support, looking to turn resistance at 0.67850. If we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and first target at the 0.6690. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.6611. So next pair we're going to look at is the US dollar franc. Now we start the week having reversed to the upside in the US dollar franc back above this key area of broken resistance, in this case looking to potentially turn support at 0.98699. As we are at the top of this rally to the upside and very close to the next key area of resistance and the target here, what we'd like to see coming into the US dollar franc next week is we'd like to see a correction take place first. And this is going to give us an opportunity, especially if we can get a retest of broken resistance turning support at the 0.98699. This is going to be the preferable place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance to the upside and the target set, the 0.9991. And if we can get a break through here, we are of course going to be looking up towards the next key of resistance to the upside and target 2. With a 1.0068. The next pair we're going to look at is US dollar CAD. Now last week we were looking at this key area of broken support, looking to turn resistance at the 1.33730. We did get a slight pullback in the US dollar CAD, but we haven't really, again, similar to the Aussie dollar that we were looking at, we really haven't gone anywhere in the US dollar CAD last week, just a complete lack of volatility. So very simply put, we're still in this corrective phase. It does look like we're due one more push to the upside. So if we can get another pullback and preferably, as always, a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 1.3373, this is going to be a great place we're going to start to consider shorts, looking for bearish formations and patterns, looking to trade to the downside to the next key of support at the 1.3172. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking at the next key of support to the downside and the target set at the 1.3080. And last but not least, we have gold. Now, gold looks to have finally broken out of this pretty ugly corrective pattern which has been developing over the last 2 weeks. I mean, gold has pretty much done nothing over the last 2 weeks. It's just chopped around the 1289.19. So very simply put, as we start the week below this key area of broken support from the past, looking to turn resistance at the 1289.19. If we can get a pullback, and preferably if we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 1289.19, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside, the target set at the 1266.95. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the second key area of support to the downside and the second target set at the 1251.00. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to everybody who does that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far, and all of you who also comment on a regular basis. I always read the comments and I do appreciate it. I want to wish you all a fantastic week next week. I hope you all have a nice weekend as well. The only thing for me to say is take care, guys, and don't forget to trade safely.